Hi, I'm Hollis from ScottishFlute.com, and I want to talk to you today about crossing noises, those little notes that happen between melody notes when your finger work isn't as clean as it should be. Now, in that tune I was just playing, Snaps of Toei, you probably heard you were getting a lot of things like which can be nice as an intended thing, but when it's happening by accident, what it tends to do is slow down your rhythm. It puts in extra time and you get sort of out of tempo. And it also just doesn't sound as clean as it should be. And a lot of beginning players really struggle with this because you're trying to concentrate on all of these movements. You're trying to keep your embouchure right, you're trying to get your fingers in the right place. And you don't necessarily hear that when you're playing, for example, D, B, D, that you're actually getting... Do you hear how there's 5 notes there rather than 3? So it should be da da da, and instead I'm getting dee da dum ba dee. This is a really common thing for newer flute and whistle players because you just don't hear that there are extra notes in there. You're used to adding in ornamentation, and these things can sound a lot like ornamentation, but they're not. So what you do when you have any sort of finger work issue creeping into your playing like that is that you isolate and you slow down. So if I'm trying, for example, to get that to sound like that and not like I want, what you do is you slow that down and you pull it apart. And really what you've got is a series of note changes. You've got this happens a lot in arpeggios, as you can see. Slow it down and really focus on your finger movement being crisp and clean. If I'm doing this right and you watch my fingers, you should see all of the fingers that are going to change move with almost military precision. So the ones that are up here that are going to come down. So every note, every finger is changing on the transition from B to D. The ones that are up are all going to come whacking down right at the same time, and the one that's going to lift, it's a little harder to see, but it's going to lift exactly at the moment when these other fingers are touching the flute. So I don't want... Do you see how that's really imprecise? What I want is So for an exercise, what we're going to do is get your metronome out and set it to something slow, like 60 beats per minute or a little lower, like as low as your metronome will go. And just beat 2 beats to the bar. And we're going to just do note changes. Now, did you hear that there was a little uncleanness the last time through there? I played. So what you're aiming for initially is to notice when those things happen. You don't have to change it yet. Just get into the habit of noticing what's going on because you can't fix what you're not aware of. And eventually we want you to get to the point where even as you're playing along, you can notice, okay, were there crossing noises there? No, not really. Yeah, definitely there, but not just at the end, all throughout. We want you developing the ability to attend to what's going on so that you can fix it and do. thing that's important, play legato here, because if you're playing with tonguing, it's easy to miss what's going on. Here, I'll play without clean fingering, but with tonguing. Where what was actually happening there was so play legato so that you can really hear what's going on. You're trying to shine a spotlight on your fingers, and a consistent airstream is what will give that to you. You'll find that this starts changing fairly quickly once you start paying attention to it. Like once you bring your attention to something that's going on and you have an intention to fix it, it becomes a lot easier to get rid of the problem. But to do that, you need to have the time to focus your attention on this. So slow practice is really important with this. If you're like a lot of us, you'll find probably that the biggest crossing noises happen when you're asking both of your hands to do something at the same time. So for example, for most people, like going from B to G and back, is not much of a problem. You don't get a ton of, and I think that's partly because you're only asking your left hand to do anything at that point. Whereas if you go, for example, B to F sharp, you start hearing these things creeping in because the coordination across the halves of your body is a little harder for you to do. Again, slow practice, slow it down, pay real attention to it. And this is like going to the gym. It's not important to lift the weights as fast as possible if that's not what you're training right now. You want good form so that you stick that in here and develop it over time, such that eventually you can get to the clean comes from slow. So slow it down, pay real attention, and do these alternating exercises, and you'll find it helps a lot pretty quickly. Again, thanks for watching. I'm Hollis from ScottishFlute.com. We're going to be posting new lessons and tunes pretty regularly, and we'd love it if you would give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.